Welcome back, and joining us on the show now is Jonathan Bharat. He's CIO of Probis Securities. Jonathan, hi, good to have you. And we seem to be headed for a best quarterly gain in perhaps a couple of years when it comes to the crude oil prices. Still holding above that 94. What's your sense on where the prices are headed from here?
Manisha, good afternoon. Well, yes, when you look at Brent and WTI, Brent certainly having a very strong day at the moment, 94.67. Look, I get a sense that the market does want to take it higher, which is a concern across the board. Obviously, for imports, there are concerns, obviously, that Russia will continue to decrease output and or decrease exports. So there's still a bit of a squeeze on the price of oil, and it could go higher.
All right. So many banks and brokerages are now talking about 100 and a plus kind of levels. Do you see crude going to 3 digits anytime soon? Jonathan, are you expecting $100 a barrel on charts?
Look, I think when you look at it, I would not like to see it up through that US 100, but it's quite possible. I do get a sense that the market, it hasn't yet had that explosive move to the top side, which normally indicates a high. I do get a sense that the market will try and work out with the current macros, particularly with the FOMC this week, as to whether or not it will trade higher. And I think if the Fed leads back on pushing interest rates higher, then the market will say that, look, the economies will require more oil. And you just have to look at the Chinese data last week, and that suggests that China is bumping along quite nicely.
Oh, it is, yes. And the kind of economic data we've seen coming from US also have been on the stronger side. So, Jonathan, with so many central banks slated for this week now, including US Fed and Bank of England, Bank of Japan, the Chinese bank as well, what's your sense and where do you see a better trading opportunity? I mean, whether it's going to be crude or metal prices?
Well, I'm sort of starting to get a sense that the US dollar could come under some pressure.
Okay.
So, excuse me. So I get a sense that metal prices could have a lift to the top side.
And any of the metals that you think could do better than the other? Because when you look at the last couple of weeks, we've seen copper, aluminum, zinc, even silver for that matter, trend higher.
Well, I think when I look at silver price, the price of silver's had a good rally, and I probably think that silver is the one that's underrated the most.
All right.
So it actually...
A bit of an issue with your throat. So I think there's a bit of an issue with your throat. So I advise you to sort of rest your throat. And Manisha as well, thank you for joining us. And anything else that you want to mention about the commodity itself?
No, I mean, as he said that, the dollar index, if he thinks it's going to weaken this week, is going to be positive for many of those commodities. I mean, we've started this week quite positive, whether it's about energy or metals for that matter. And as he said, with the US Fed meeting already factored in, and we know that Bank of Japan and Bank of China will not do much. Bank of England, of course, would come with a 25 basis point of a rate hike. And that is something that the markets have already factored in.
Okay, all right, Manisha. Thanks very much for joining in and giving us that perspective on the commodity space. Well, we need to take a short break with the news that the